This morning at 7 o'clock, plenty of people will have some cleaning up to do after severe thunderstorms rolled through the Front Range. Take a look at these cars that are buried by the hail there in Aurora.
It looks like snow out there in the summertime. Multiple metro area cities issued flash flood warnings because of just how fast the rain came down. This footage from the Colorado Rapids shows just how much water poured out there. Yeah.
And as you can imagine, this caused some slowdowns out at the airport as well. DIA is getting back on track this morning after dealing with 10 cancellations and more than 800 delays last night. But first, we are following some breaking news at 7 o'clock. Police and fire crews are on scene of an apartment fire near 105th Place and Washington Street east of I-25. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jordan Chavez.
Yeah, and I'm Erica Lopez. We do want to get straight to 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon, who is live on scene this morning. Courtney, what are you seeing out that way right now?
Hey, good morning, Jordan and Corey. Most of the fire crews left a little under an hour ago this morning. Around 6:10 this morning, they left. I'm going to show you the scene here right now. There are still some residents that are outside. They were evacuated from the building this morning because of this fire, and you can see that the police also have the front entrance of this apartment building here blocked off right now. So I'm going to show you some video from what happened earlier this morning. This call came in around 4:30 this morning, according to the North Metro Fire Rescue. They tell us that when firefighters arrived here on scene, that they saw heavy smoke coming from the building. And I spoke to a couple residents who live here in the apartment building, and they said this morning they were woken up by what they thought was a loud noise. It sounded like an explosion to them, like a loud thump. We spoke with one of the neighbors who lives next door to where the fire happened. She says she opened her door and saw flames inside of her neighbor's apartment. Then her neighbor, other neighbor from across the way, ran over with a fire extinguisher and helped to knock down those flames in there, and that's when a lot of smoke came pouring out. She says that her neighbor who was inside that unit with the fire had a lot of cuts and scrapes on his legs, and that his window was blown out, that there was glass everywhere, and that his drapes were in the tree outside because that window had blown out somehow. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
He came out of his apartment with his extinguisher and came over, opened the door and sprayed in there, and I think he saved us. I really do, because if he wouldn't have done that, because it was going to happen fast, because once the first explosion happened, there was another something that happened, and once that happened, that's when the smoke really came up, and that's when it got really bad. But he took care of it, so he's definitely my hero right now, for sure.
North Metro Fire Rescue says that 2 people were transported to the hospital right now. Their conditions are unknown. So far, there's no cause yet to this fire, but we have seen that the North Metro Fire Rescue fire investigator has arrived here on scene. We'll be sure to keep you updated on air and online. Live in Northglenn, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Courtney, thank you so much. 7:03 is your time for this Thursday morning, and we do have a traffic impact alert because of all that nasty weather that we had yesterday. This morning, we are seeing a water main break. So the Douglas County Sheriff's Office says that this is happening just south of C-470. We are seeing more crews arrive to the scene. This is right at the intersection of Broadway and Dad Clark Drive. For those heading out the door, you are seeing lots of cones. We're seeing the road closure for those heading out. So I do want to switch things over to our CDOT cameras, kind of show you on the ground from our CDOT camera what we're seeing and what crews are doing. So right now they're trying to make all those repairs so they can reopen all those lanes. So I want to switch things over to our main maps, kind of show you where this is happening. So again, this is in the Highlands Ranch area, south of C-470, Broadway at Dad Clark Drive. Expect delays if you're heading out the way, out that way. Now across the Denver metro area, we are seeing a lot of delays this morning. Not seeing any bumper-to-bumper traffic along for those heading to Boulder or maybe taking 225. We also have a crash westbound 76 at 96 Avenue. That right shoulder partially blocked. Right now you're looking at an 18-minute drive.
And thanks so much, Brianna. Let's take a look outside. First of all, this is what we saw last night. Aurora, that's hail and some flooding water off in the distance there. And we saw a lot of rain, a lot of hail. It was a busy night around the metro area between 7 and 9 p.m. We picked up over a half-inch of rain, in some cases close to an inch and a half. Got one unverified report of 2.3 inches of rain in Erie in about 2 hours. So it was a lot of water in a short period of time last night. This morning, we're just evaporating all that water. We're in the 60s across most of the metro area already. 50s, 60s, eastern plains, 30s and 40s in the mountains, and satellite radar is pretty quiet right now, but later on today, we'll see those temperatures get up into the mid 80s for us by the early part of the afternoon. And today we top out 89 degrees with a slight chance for a brief gusty shower between 3 and 9 p.m. Better chance, though, for showers and storms next week. Until then, it's on the hot and dry side. I'll have details on all that in my full forecast.
All right, Chris, thank you. Later this morning, we are expecting to learn more about the state's response to a Chevron well blowout in northern Colorado. This is expected to take years to clean up. State regulators are going to hold a public hearing around 10:30 this morning, and they could announce a punishment for the April 6th blowout near Gailton, northeast of Greeley. A report from Chevron says oil, water, and gas started spewing while a contractor was installing equipment. That equipment fell on their leg, breaking it. That's Chevron's assessment. We have yet to hear what the state regulators have to say about this. They plan to use that in their own investigation to decide if they need to take any steps to prevent something like this from happening again.
A judge says Governor Polis cannot force certain state employees to turn over information to ICE agents, but that those employees can help willingly. This is in response to a lawsuit from an employee in the state's Labor and Employment Department. He sued to stop the state from giving up information about dozens of people who agreed to care for children who are in the country illegally. Colorado law prohibits sharing information with ICE unless it involves a court-issued subpoena or relates to a criminal investigation. Now, according to subpoena from a Homeland Security agent, ICE wants that information to ensure that kids are not in danger of human trafficking.
The man accused of firebombing peaceful demonstrators in Boulder now faces a dozen federal charges. A new indictment against Mohammed Solomon was unsealed yesterday, and it includes 9 hate crime acts and 3 charges related to explosives. Solomon is accused of throwing Molotov cocktails at a group of people who've been routinely marching to raise awareness about Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Solomon faces dozens of other charges on the state level, and he is due back in court tomorrow.
Barry Morphew is heading back to Colorado to face a new murder charge in the death of his wife, Suzanne. The Department of Corrections told 9 News Morphew waived his right to an extradition hearing. He is currently being held in Arizona. According to a new indictment, Morphew was the only private citizen in Colorado who had access to a combination of drugs found in Suzanne Morphew's system.
The Trump administration is planning to fast-track the deportation of potentially hundreds of thousands of people. According to a report from CNN, this would impact people who entered the U.S. illegally, then applied for asylum. Under the plan, those asylum claims would be dismissed and then removed without a hearing before an immigration judge. NATO leaders have agreed on a massive hike in defense spending after pressure from President Trump. The 32 leaders committed to spending 5% of gross domestic product on defense by 2035, and at the moment, no NATO countries spend that. Poland is the only one who comes close at more than 4%. Even the U.S. falls short at about 3.4%. The group also expressed their commitment to come to each other's aid if they're attacked.
This week, the U.S. military is expected to announce 2 new military zones along the southern border. They're called National Defense Areas. One will be attached to Joint Base San Antonio in Texas to include roughly 250 miles of the Rio Grande River. The other will be attached to Marine Corps Air Station Yuma in Arizona. That one will extend more than 100 miles along the border. The zones are considered extensions of military installations. This means troops stationed there are allowed to detain border crossers before handing them off to law enforcement.